Today we're going to look at YouTube channels for learning Catalan, and at the end we'll look at how to fit these resources into a method and routine that will help you on your way to learning the language. If you want to skip ahead, you can follow the timestamps on screen now or in the description below. The YouTube channels we're going to be looking at are specifically about learning Catalan. They're therefore great for actively learning the language and noting down new phrases, checking grammar points, that sort of thing. But you can obviously use them for immersion as well, as they are spoken in the language. We'll look at Catalan YouTube channels purely for immersion in future videos. These will be divided into various topics so that you can find channels for areas that interest you, and the links will be in the description below. The channels we're going to look at today aren't listed in any particular order. They're all really good resources created by fantastic teachers and creators. As ever, this isn't an exhaustive list. There'll be other great channels out there, though there certainly will be as time passes after making this video. I'll be sure to add any new channels I come across to the description below. You'll also be able to find them in the corresponding article on the How to Learn Languages website, the link to which will also be in the description below. If there's any channels you know of that haven't been covered in this video, please feel free to mention them in the comments so that other people can find them too. The first channel we're going to look at is Català al Natural. There's loads of great videos covering a wide range of topics. There's videos on grammar for when you want to clarify a certain rule, but there's also loads of useful videos for practicing your Catalan listening and for learning about Catalonia. For example, there's vlogs featuring Barcelona, and there's even one relating to history, exploring a bunker from the Spanish Civil War. Another great channel is Easy Catalan. If you're familiar with Easy Languages channels for other languages, then you can expect a similar experience with Easy Catalan. Their videos focus on conversations or interviews with Catalan speakers, and this provides an interesting way to practice your Catalan listening whilst learning more about the cultures of Catalan speaking areas. There's also subtitles in both English and Catalan, providing a helpful reference for both the meaning of phrases and their pronunciation, as you can read the Catalan subtitles whilst listening to how they're spoken in the video. There's loads of videos on a wide range of topics such as grammar, expressions, culture, regional culture and much more. For example, the following looks at the Valencian accent and culture, whilst this one here provides 5 Catalan film suggestions. Easy Catalan also has a podcast, and the link for that will be in the description as well. It's another great resource, especially if you're on the go. Not every channel will have a podcast, but it's worth checking with each of them to see if they do, as it can be a convenient way to listen to their content during the commute or whilst doing exercise. The next channel is Aina Monferrer. This channel provides a wide range of videos covering various aspects of the language. All the videos are spoken in Catalan, making it an ideal form of immersion. Though many of the videos are geared towards the C1 and C2 levels of the Provas de Certificació AOE de Valencià, it's the same language. Of course, there is regional variety, and there's no reason people shouldn't call a certain variety Valencian or Majorcan, but they're all part of the same language. As such, this channel is a great form of immersion, but also a great source of information about the language, provided by a professor at the University of São Paulo. The next 2 channels offer a particularly eclectic mix of videos. These are Plataforma per la Llengua and Institut d'Estudis Catalans. Summarising the different topics on their channels wouldn't really do them justice, but just think of them as places you can go to learn about subjects and debates you might not otherwise have thought of. As well as being in Catalan, their videos are often about the Catalan language itself. Some of the videos will seem a bit too niche, but there'll likely be some gems in there that lead you to more discussions and resources on certain topics. The last channel we'll look at today is Learn Catalan from Barcelona. At the time of recording, they haven't posted a video for about a year, but the videos they have posted are really good. Even if they don't end up posting more in the future, the videos that are on the channel are worth watching, covering a wide range of topics such as grammar, culture, and expression. As a side note, it's worth mentioning that the videos of most of these channels usually aren't spoken at full speed, which is absolutely fine. It helps, particularly when you're a beginner, and you're going to these channels to learn specific things, such as to learn some new phrases or check on a certain grammar point. But because it isn't spoken at full speed, do just be sure to immerse in other materials such as films, podcasts, and even other YouTube channels where the language is spoken at a normal speed. This way, you won't get a shock if, later on, you suddenly start listening to the language as it's spoken normally, as your ears will already be adjusted to it. But even with that being said, these are still perfect channels for learning new things and getting some sort of immersion in at the same time. They're worth using at any stage during the process, and of course, they're going to be particularly helpful for beginners. But given how varied the topics are on these channels, you'll find there's new videos all the time on interesting topics relating to the Catalan language, and Els Països Catalans, which literally means the Catalan countries, referring to the areas in which Catalan is spoken. Although it's ideal to immerse in the language without English subtitles, the option of English subtitles is not being discouraged for these channels, because their videos aren't solely for immersion. For an excellent compromise, if during the early stages you're wanting to immerse in materials where you can understand a lot of what's going on, but they are also just a great way to actively study the language and pick up new phrases. And just as a final reminder, do be sure to still spend some time immersing with videos at normal speed and without subtitles, as this is the most accurate reflection of the language you'll encounter in daily life when speaking with Catalan speakers, and it's just very important for the learning process in general. Now, some of you may have heard this next part before if you've seen some of the other videos on this channel, but it's worth mentioning again here for anyone who hasn't seen the other videos yet. The more we listen to a language, the more our brain becomes familiar with the sound patterns of that language. There's a book by Albert Costa, who himself is a Catalan speaker, called The Bilingual Brain, and in that he mentions some research that was done with babies who were either in the first few months or certainly within the first year of their lives. And researchers basically, I don't know the exact methods they use, I think it's detailed more in the book, but basically, however scientists do this, they were able to monitor the brainwaves of what was going on in the brains of these babies whilst they played two languages to them. And off the top of my head, I think it was Swahili and Turkish. And what they found by monitoring the brainwaves of the babies was that they could tell, as in the babies could tell, that they were listening to two separate languages. And so, in other words, our brains are incredible at recognising sound patterns, and that's why it's vital to keep immersing in the language, even when it feels frustrating and you don't necessarily feel like you're making improvements. In the background, your brain is getting better and better at recognising the sound patterns of the language, and that's why we have these what feel like sudden breakthrough moments every now and again, when in reality it's more of a cumulative process where all the immersion we were doing has built up and we're getting very comfortable at recognising certain patterns of sound in the language. All the channels mentioned in this video are great channels that are well worth your time, and remember that you don't need to stick to just one. You could easily use all of them, you can mix and match, and in terms of improving your listening comprehension, it serves your Catalan well to have various different sources, because obviously no one speaks exactly the same, so having the variety can only help. Any channels that haven't been mentioned haven't been left out intentionally. I'll do my best to add links to any others to the description of this video, as and when I come across them, as there'll no doubt be others out there, be it now or certainly at some point in the future. And if there's any channels you know that haven't been covered in this video, please feel free to mention them in the comments, so that other people can find them too. In terms of fitting the resources we've covered today into a plan for learning Catalan, there are 3 essential things you need to learn any language. These 3 things could be called different names based on personal preference, but they boil down to the same things. These are the passive part of the process, the active part, and practice. The passive part of the process is perhaps the most important in the sense that it's most likely to have been the missing ingredient, as when we learn languages at school, it's impossible to spend much time listening to the language in its normal form, at normal speed, and how it's used in daily life. And this is why, even though we perhaps learn how to conjugate some verbs and say a few sentences, when we actually hear the language properly in normal settings, we struggle to understand it. The active part is probably going to be the most familiar in the sense that it does involve active study, but it doesn't have to be in the more traditional ways you may be used to from school. By all means, study grammar in isolation and verb tables if you enjoy that, as enjoyment is the most important thing, but you don't have to. The active part of the process for many people can just be a case of looking for new phrases and learning them, remembering them. Practice is just about having conversations, whether they're typed or spoken, with native speakers of that language, or people who speak the language to the level of a first language, ideally anyway. Now, if at the start you're a bit tentative and want to develop your Catalan a bit more before having conversations, that's absolutely fine. You can just pose questions to yourself and think of how you'd respond, and practice answering them. It may sound a bit odd at first, but it's absolutely fine, and it's an effective way to improve. The most effective way for improving your fluency is to practice with other people, as it's the most immediate form, and it will make your responses feel more automatic in the future. But for many people, it can seem a bit daunting to start that straight away. Some people do advocate starting that straight away, but you don't have to. It's just personal preference. Now, with regard to the resources we looked at today, they're great for the active part of the process. You can learn loads of new phrases, and they're even a fun alternative if you want to check a grammar point to looking it up in a textbook, and of course, a much more cost-effective method for doing that. And of course, they are also helpful for immersion, but they shouldn't be your sole form of immersion, as they are spoken a bit more slowly than the language normally would be. Over the coming weeks and months, there'll be more videos like this posted on this channel to help you learn Catalan, as well as various other languages. If you'd like to look at some other free resources on the website, there's a resources section, and that gets added to weekly. There's general advice on language learning, and there's a tab specifically for Catalan resources, focusing particularly on films you can watch to help improve your Catalan. And each of these has links to relevant videos and articles that will add context to the film you've watched. And adding this context helps you to remember the phrases you've come across, and it can just make the whole process more interesting and enjoyable. If you'd like more detail on how to learn Catalan, there's a How to Learn Languages guide, How to Learn Catalan. The guide goes into lots more detail, and it's a way for you to have everything you need in one place, with links to useful free resources and a plan laid out for you. There's also a detailed section on the history of the Catalan language. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you found it helpful, and see you next time.